Morning, morning, everybody. Michelle is here. Michelle is here on March the 9th, 2026, on a Monday. Can you believe it? Monday again. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. What are we experiencing during these times in our lives? It is unmistakably complex, concerning, worry. I worry about it. I'm thinking about it. I'm not ruminating. I'm thinking about what's happening and what's going on around us, and how some of us, ought to see this as, a lesson of a lifetime. And sadly, the lessons are being dismissed as if everything's a joke. People are pretending that they're enjoying all of this, and that that they're happy and this and that. Yeah, now there's a difference between finding having a sense of humor about things. Yes, that's very comforting. I think it's healthy, because especially when you know that there's not much you can do about certain things that are happening. And so I'm just really, really concerned and disturbed by the climate, though, the weather, our behaviors and actions individually, whether it's coming from the religion side, whether it's coming from the politician side, or the political side, religious side. I mean, that is kind of funny. When you look at the big picture, it's performance, and it's a show. It's just like going to a theater without having to go to a theater. All you have to do is just pay attention to what's going on in religion and politics. That's a theater right there. Gosh, if it's not one thing or another. And the sad thing about it, we're mixing these theaters and these performances with our real life situations, like bombing other countries, invading other countries, and doing these secret missions behind the scene that no one seems to want to talk about. I told you there's that SOS made sense now, or is making sense now. There was an SOS, and a lot of people think, well, what does that mean? Go back and listen to the SOS videos. There's a lot of things going on in the background that we just don't know, and we won't ever know, because that's just how it was set up. It's been set up like that for decades upon decades. Whereas we have a public face of people coming out, and they're regurgitating intellectual talking heads, more so rambling and just blah 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 blah, saying things that sound good, and people back in the day, say 50 or more years ago, people were reassured. If the police said this, if the military said that, and if the president says this, a lot of people are so delusional and hallucinating, and especially indoctrinated, where, okay, that the president says everything's going to be okay, so and sadly, people of color, more specifically biological black females, have been warning and sending out warnings and warnings and warnings for decades upon decades, that this is the consequences if you do not da 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 da. But what happened to the black female, the biological black female icons? I've talked about that. What has happened to them now? Because everything is happening collectively, it's hard to target just one person. Sure, you can attempt to target all biological black females, but that's going to be less successful than attempting to target one person. Okay, in other words, one person is not saying anything more than another person is. So how are you going to pick and choose? I'm sure but the thing is, it's too late to attempt to interfere with that. Okay, if someone has developed themselves properly, developed their consciousness properly, you're not going to be able to touch them. And I mean that literally, figuratively, and metaphorically. Literally, yes, you can take their life, but you can't touch them still, because we are what? We are a form of energy. So a lot of people are probably saying, what the hell does that mean? I mean, it's untouchable. But sadly, we have our so-called pseudoscientists who are attempting to touch that. They're attempting to touch what is that energy? What is that creational energy out there? You know, they want that. And so that's why we have to be contained. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Otherwise, we will destroy civilizations, destroy planets, interfere with the destruction of other planets, interfere with the formulation or the lack thereof, or the progress or the progression of the universe, the evolution of the universe. So we have to be contained. So guess what? Guess what the consequences were? Artificial intelligence. So you really, if you choose to, you really need to sit down, if you choose to, and think about what I'm saying here. We as a humanity need to be contained. We're a danger to ourselves. We're a danger which has been proven time and time again to the climate. And now we are a danger to the universe. And keep in mind, we are just a pale blue dot. Look at that on your computer screen and ask yourself, okay, who the fuck do we think we are? Who do we think we are to be interfering in the structure of this planet as we are? You know, and it's going to come back and bite people unlike anything we've ever experienced in the 5 billion. It's a 5 billion year age of this planet. This planet is 5 billion years old. Forget about what the scientists are saying, because they have no idea. They refuse to look into that. They want to be out in front. They want to be praised. They want their names on documents. They want to be fancy. They want to be clever. You know, they're looking for that attention. But they are some of the most desperate, loneliness, low self-esteem, jealousy and envy, you name it. It all applies to these criminal negative energies I talk about, that which includes politics, religion, the media, the military, the Billionaire Boys Club, these private, so-called private citizens, these so-called, these entertainer-like people who are entertaining us while in the background manipulating and deceiving us. You know, they know what to do. All you have to do is think about Pastor Jim Jones and how he was able to do what he did because he had the help of politicians, religion, local business leaders, the military, law enforcement. It's all there. That's all the evidence you need to be able to figure this out on your own. But a lot of us refuse to. We would rather say it. That has nothing to do with me. And boy, I can only give out as much compassion as I can. But at some point, that's apparently not enough. Okay? It's just so weird how we are behaving and acting. And I got some errands to run today, but I'm going to come back and go deeper, whereas even an adolescent can understand what I'm talking about. If an adolescent were to listen to my videos, but you need your parents' permission, they'll be able to figure this out and be able to, because the adolescents, let's put it this way. The children and the descendants are going to bear brunt of a lot of this at the hands of, their ancestors, which we are. We consider ourselves, descendants of our ancestors. Well, they're going to be descendants of us, the ancestors. And guess what we've done? Look at the carnage we are leaving behind, the destruction, the chaos. And it's via more so the planet or the atmosphere, the climate. The animals are going to start turning on us like it's just going to be so unimaginable what's going to be happening. A lot of people are not going to understand it. And yes, of course, you're going to have these religious people with psychosis talking about the last days and God's this and Jesus that and Lord this. That's nothing but religious psychosis. And there's not much you can do about that either at some point. At some point you just have to leave these people to leave them be. Allow them to be, because there's not a goddamn thing we can do. We are experiencing an extreme overpopulation entropy. Overpopulation entropy. And at some point at some point it is affecting several human beings, mostly of religious connotations, whereas their brain cells are going to stop functioning properly because they're not thinking properly, and so they're going to be experiencing a self-created, man-made dementia. This will be known, this will be spoken of, but at the time where it's going to be acknowledged, the damage will have been done. So I'm going to go ahead and stop it right now on this Monday, March the 9th, 2026. And trust me, I will be back.